Jaseth of Jaelshead Book 1, Bloodkin, by Cathy Ashford. Chapter 24. Hello, my lady. Lord Jaseth. Not shopping for yourself, I see. No, not quite. Oh man, what was she doing here? I'm sorry to hear about your girlfriend. Sally, was it? Nice girl. I was doubly surprised. I'm not sure that I've ever heard anyone refer to Sally as nice, but more so that the Queen had noticed that Sally and I were together. I was desperate to change the subject. So, what are you doing out today? She waved a hand airily. Oh, not much. Just doing a bit of shopping. The Lil Quarter is particularly lovely, and the Niathi is so polite and friendly, don't you think? And you see a different side of things when not on an official tour. Well, I suppose that explained the disguise. Oh, cool. I don't suppose you'd like to go for a drink or something? With you? She sounded surprised. Oh shit, had I just asked the Queen out on a date? Stupid! There's no way she'd want... That would be lovely, Jaseth. What? She agreed. Oh, awesome. I've just got to run the stuff back to the hall. Then, can I meet you somewhere? Do you know the Shivering Thistle? She smiled. I do indeed. I'll meet you there in half an hour. There are some things I have to pick up first. So, I left her to her shopping and raced back to the hall as fast as I could without squashing the cake. Upstairs in the common room, I found Mantley and Lalitha relaxing by the fire. I thrust the brandy and food at them. Can you take these down to Stella's room? Emma needs them. Mantley looked at the cake and then up at me. Oh, Jazz, you didn't... Yep, pretty much. Oh, poor Sal. Come on, Letha, let's go cheer her up. In my room, I attempted to straighten my hair and thought briefly about changing into a good robe before I realised Thaalik would probably notice and laugh at me, so I had to make do with the cream linen. I walked back through the quarter, my heart thudding. The spring sun had never seemed so bright or hot, and I forced myself to slow down so I wasn't all sweaty when I arrived at the Thistle. By the time I got there, about 25 minutes had passed since I left the confectioner's. I had a quick check to make sure she hadn't arrived yet, then found a bench outside to wait. I realised I was looking around like an idiot, and forced myself to stare at my hands. As such, the Queen surprised me when she walked up 5 minutes later. Lord Jaseth? Oh, hey, should we go in? She smiled. Let's. The tavern was quiet this early in the afternoon. O'Malley was behind the bar, as usual, reading the paper. He glanced up as we walked in. Ah, young Jaseth of Jaelshead, good to see you. He took a long look at Thaalik at my side and inclined his head slightly. It is a great honour to have you in my establishment, lady. You are very kind, Mary O'Malley. And thank you for the musicians, by the way. They were marvellous. O'Malley beamed with pride. I am pleased my lady thinks so. Now, the roof garden is lovely today, but upstairs is free if you require more privacy. That would be most suitable, thank you. I'll send up a bottle of our finest. White or red? Red, thank you, Thaalik replied. Of course. Now, the fire's not yet lit. I presume you're able to take care of that, Jaseth? Yeah, that's fine. Good. I'll be up in a minute. O'Malley turned and unlocked the cabinet where he kept his best wines, and I led the Queen through the curtained door and up to the lounge. It was gloomy up there, so I shook the globes to get them started and turned my attention to the fire. Ah, the infamous home of Liar Vasalian. I have to admit it's not quite what I expected. Thaalik examined the room before choosing a seat by the fire, which I was building with pieces of kindling from a bucket to one side. I, wouldn't know. She just laughed. It's all right, Jaseth. I know about Anna. I cannot condone murder in any form, but there's no way of tying her to any deaths that may or may not have been Liar Vasalia contracts. The city guards have tried, you know. I sparked the fire with Hjarvin, adding a couple of big logs in it caught. Do you know everything? She chuckled. Well, as much as my spy masters can find out. I must confess that I had them check on you. Me? Even to my own ears I sounded squeaky. Don't worry, they didn't find anything untoward, else I wouldn't be sitting here with you. I didn't know if I felt relieved or disturbed, but my thoughts were interrupted by O'Malley bustling up the stairs with 2 glasses and a bottle of red wine. Here we go. A 583 Shiraz. Jaelshead, of course. I hope that will suffice. I fished for my coin purse, but O'Malley waved me away. This one is on the house. It's not every day we have such a distinguished guest. He gave Theolika a bow and then disappeared through the archway. I poured the wine and handed the Queen a glass, taking a seat across from her so I could see her face. She pushed back the hood of her robe and she was, even with the grey powder and all the coal, still breathtakingly good-looking. I almost had to pinch myself. Here I had the Queen, alone, drinking with me. I had imagined this meeting so many times, but now I was rather at a loss for something intelligent to say. So, did you get everything you needed? I indicated the shopping bag she had placed beside her feet. Yes, thank you. I went to visit your friend Fiona at her shop. Thalie chuckled. She knew who I was straight away, of course. They're perceptive, aren't they, these Nyathi? They sure are, I said, thinking of Anna. Did you buy some moss? Well, we mostly talked about the robbery and the missing Mingles. And about you. But, yes, I bought some white and some gold and a little red. And some green, of course. An awful lot of state occasions involve drinking vast quantities of wine. It's not really the done thing for the Queen to get plastered. I didn't need any blue. My days are so long I hardly need any help getting to sleep. No purple either, of course. Oh? I tried to sound politely interested rather than disappointed. Yes, well, it is forbidden for the monarch to have children while in office, so I thought it best not to tempt myself. You sounded disappointed. She raised an eyebrow at me. Damn. No, it's not. She just laughed at me. I'm joking, Jaseth. Ha! Yeah, good one. Hey, you've dropped the Lord bit. This made her grin. Well, now you seem to have finished with that whole Your Majesty business. I didn't feel the need to use it anymore. You can call me Thale if you want. Theolika is such a mouthful, and it's what all my friends call me. I swallowed. I guess that's what I was to her then. A friend. Oh, and Fiona made me take these when I told her about our date. She reached into her shopping bag and my heart leapt. So this was a date. Here, she says it's a new recipe. Theolika unwrapped a small parcel and handed me a generous piece of chocolate and raspberry brownie. Apparently this has some red and gold in it. It's not bad. She was right. The brownie was sweet and moist, marvelled with the tangy raspberry swirl, and went wonderfully with the dark berry fruit flavours of the excellent Shiraz. I don't know if it was the wine or the brownie or the red moss that we shared from the Landers hookah, or even the feeling of freedom from salad that I was just beginning to enjoy. But Theolika and I spent the afternoon talking and laughing. I tried out her question technique, and soon she was chatting away, gesturing expansively, and I finally saw how it worked. I started off being too self-conscious to think of anything to say, but as the Queen spoke passionately about how the government worked, I became fascinated too, and things to ask or say just rolled off my tongue. My tutors at home would have been horrified to realise I actually had only the faintest grasp of how the actual mechanics of the central government worked. Like the work of the advisor, for example. Mer Sebastian. Oh, he's lovely. He really, really is. I couldn't have asked for a better advisor. He's the real brains of the operation. Yeah, but what does he actually do? Oh, well, any motions that are brought by government ministers or visiting district lords, like your father, or often by me, are debated in the parliamentary sessions. Then, Mer Sebastian and I retire to discuss them. He tells me what he thinks first, and if I agree, then that's good. The motions are carried. And if you don't agree? She chuckled. Well, then I try to convince him of my point of view, but in the end, the decisions are up to him. What? But you're the queen. Yeah, but he's my advisor. That's how it works. It's worked for thousands of years in the enclaves, and has worked outside since the leaving. His wisdom and experience counter my youthful exuberance and all that. She told me about her childhood in a fishing village on the coast just north of Allion. She had been studying history and law at the Allion Academy when she had been selected. She told me about the election process and having her portrait painted by Ashlew. He's quite mad, you know. And the other candidates, and her coronation. It was the most intense, surreal experience. All those people, cheering, going crazy. I half expected it to be some huge, elaborate prank. I couldn't quite believe anyone had actually voted for me. She told me about her days in the castle, conducting the parliamentary sessions, and it occurred to me that for all the attention lavished on her by her adoring public, she led a rather lonely existence. Her closest ally was an 83-year-old man, after all. I began to see the attraction of wearing the Niathi disguise so that she could go incognito around the city. I could also see the attraction of having a friend like me, who wasn't interested in her power as queen, but who was fully prepared to like her just for being her. The time must have flown by, because as the late afternoon sun slanted through the thistle's windows, we heard footsteps on the staircase, and I looked over as Charlie and Anna wandered through the archway into the lounge. Oh, hello, Charlie. Anna? Nice picnic? Anna certainly looked more relaxed and happy than I had seen her for some time, and she smiled at me before her eyes drifted to the Queen, narrowing slightly for a second as Charlie greeted us. Oh, yeah, thanks, Jazz. It was lovely. Oh, hello, Your Majesty. I like the disguise. Thaelic flashed me a rueful grin. They are perceptive, aren't they? Charlie laughed heartily. Well, that's my job. Mind if we join you? The Queen smiled and nodded her assent, and they sat with us by the fire. O'Malley came up presently with another bottle of the 83 Shiraz and 2 more glasses, and Charlie packed the hookah with more red. As Anna engaged Thaelic in private, polite conversation, I leaned in and spoke quietly to Charlie. Hey, did you happen to stop by the hall on your way? No, we came straight from the ferry. Why? Oh, never mind. I was just wondering if you had seen Emma. Emma? Why? Oh, did you and Stella, break up? Yeah. Oh, JJ, you poor lad. Are you alright? I nodded. I was more than alright, actually. I'd spent the afternoon with the woman of my dreams and had hardly thought about Stella the entire time. Good. It was about time. Still, poor old Sally. Did Emma threaten to string you up? Actually, no. She was rather good about it. She made me buy brandy and cake for them, though. Charlie chortled. I bet she did. How did you end up here, then? I found Jaseth at the cake shop, laden with chocolate. He asked me for a drink. Thaelic, overhearing, said helpfully, Nah, that's my boy. Charlie clapped me soundly on the back. Now, more red, anyone? We chatted aimlessly for a bit, surprisingly comfortable in each other's company, although I noticed Anna and Thaelic each sizing the other up. Anna eventually nodded, seemingly having come to some decision about the Queen. Now, just because we haven't had our lessons today, Jaseth, I hope that doesn't mean you haven't been practicing. Anna told me, mock sternly. I have so. Look. Hell, I may have been a bit merry at this point, and if my Hjarvan would impress Thaelic, then so be it. I constructed a visibility shield around myself, and she gasped. Oh, Jaseth, where did you go? I laughed, grateful that it had worked. See? I reckon I got it pretty good now. I relaxed the shield and came back into view. That's amazing. Thaelic clapped her hands together. Did you teach him this, Min Anna? The corner of Anna's mouth quirked. Nicely done, Jaseth. Yes, Thaelic. I have been teaching a few of the Bloodkin some defensive techniques. She was quiet for a while, considering. You seem to have Sundays off, yes? Perhaps you would like to join us for a lesson sometime. And that's very kind, Manana, but I'm not Neathi blood. No, but has anyone ever taught you how to disrupt someone who is trying to use Yavin? The Queen shook her head, but was clearly interested. What with the current climate, perhaps it would be prudent to know a few defensive techniques yourself. We meet here on Saturday mornings, early. Thaelek smiled her half-dimpled smile. Early is good. I could have kissed Anna. She had just made a way for me to see the Queen every week. I asked Charlie about this later on, after I'd walked Thaelek back to the castle, her hand resting on my arm in glorious closeness. Did you tell Anna to do that? Do what? Ask Thale to come to our lessons. Now, why would I go and do such a thing? He grinned and winked at me. No, actually, she came up with it all by herself. It is a good idea, for the Queen's safety and all that. Oh, well, yeah, of course. And you get to see her every week, so everyone wins. He was perched on the side of the couch in our room, and I gave him a gentle shove, enough to send him rolling off the couch onto the floor. Oof, you're gonna get it now, boyo. And with a yell, he came at me and grabbed me in a tight headlock, scrubbing his fist into my scalp until we were both shouting with laughter. End of chapter 24. Whee! Yep.